Hello, everyone. On behalf of Assembly of Turkish American Associations, I'm very pleased to welcome you to today's webinar, The Legal Rights of Immigrants in U.S. and Challenges They Face. Thank you for taking the time to join us and for your interest in this important and timely discussion. Today's program is organized as part of ATA's UN-related projects in support of International Immigrant Day, observed on December 18. This day reminds us of the vital contributions migrants make worldwide and the importance of protecting their rights and dignity. Immigrants has always been a defining part of the American story. The Turkish American community is no exception. Our community continues to bring talent and cultural richness to the United States. Along with these contributions, however, come real and often complex legal questions about visas, lawful status, employment authorization, family unity, and protections under U.S. laws. At the same time, immigration law is complex. It may be difficult for individuals and families to clearly understand their rights and responsibilities. This uncertainty can be stressful and at times overwhelming. That is exactly why today's webinar is so important. In collaboration with Adcock Law Office, ATA is proud to provide a clear, practical, and up-to-date overview of the legal rights available to immigrants in the United States, as well as the challenges they may face in areas such as visas, residency, enforcement actions, and removal proceedings. Our goal is only to inform and educate our community with reliable knowledge so they can make better informed decisions. We are especially grateful to our legal experts today for sharing their time and expertise. Their experience working directly with immigrant communities brings value and real-world insight to this conversation. I also would like to thank all of you who registered and joined us from different parts of the country. Your participation shows a strong commitment to staying informed and engaged on issues that affect not only individuals, but families and communities as a whole. Thank you again for being with us today. With that, it is my pleasure to turn the program over to our ATA UN Committee Co-Chair, Dr. Selim Erhan.
Thank you very much, Alev Hanım. It will be my honor to present our two legal experts. Before that, I would like to give a little bit of information about the program. The program is going to be recorded and it will be published in YouTube, so you will be able to follow it. We also have a question and answers period at the end. So if there is time, we try to wrap up the program in about an hour. If there is time, we will see your questions, and our legal team or the ACCHOC team, will answer the questions that they can in the scope of this webinar, because some questions might be too long, some questions might be too complicated and may need extensive background information, which they wouldn't have at the moment. So those questions will be filtered out, and the ones that they can answer, they will answer. And then you can always reach them through us, through them, and get more detailed information if you wish. So I would like to start the program with Mr. Utku Akçok. And he has an extensive background He is the founding attorney and the CEO of the Akchok Law Office, a San Francisco-based firm providing legal services in immigration law, business immigration, personal injury law, and corporate law through its offices in Berkeley and Burlingame. After completing his high school education at Mirabal International School in Madrid, he pursued his undergraduate studies at Tobb University of Economics and Technology, graduating with double majors in law and economics on a full scholarship. He later moved to the United States to complete his Master's of Laws at Golden Gate University School of Law, where he was awarded a Merit of Scholarship. And he's licensed to practice law in both California and New York, and he serves clients across the United States with comprehensive and multidisciplinary legal background. He is also a board member of the Society of Turkish American Physicians, where he works closely with Turkish origin physicians nationwide, supporting the immigration processes and professional transitions. With this, I would like to leave the screen to Mr. Utku Akçok.
Thank you very much, Selim Bey. Thank you very much, Alev Hanım, for actually inviting us to this beautiful webinar, and thank you very much for beautiful words. We thought that, in this kind of era, we believe that knowing the fundamentals of the law is actually very important because this is the law and everyone should benefit from it. And then we talked with Anil, and then we said, okay, let's have something that we can inform, where we can inform people about their fundamental rights, which I believe it's very important, as I said. My name is Utku, as Mr. Selim Bey introduced. I'm licensed attorney in California and in New York, and again, thank you very much for inviting us here. I'm excited to talk about the topics.
And Mr. Anil is going to share the screen for us.
Yes.
Okay. So we would prefer doing it in English, right, Selim
Yes.
Bey?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's
We
start.
don't see the screen.
I actually can see, but Selim Bey, maybe it's in another tab above.
I can see it too.
Okay, Mr. Anil, are you ready to give valuable information to the audience?
Yes, I am. But
Okay.
so we can start, I guess.
Yes, let's start then. So Anil is my colleague in the law firm. He has been dealing with removal proceedings and other immigration stuff. So we believe that actually we are very knowledgeable about what we are going to share with you. And again, thank you very much for joining us today's webinar. Anil, let's see next page. What are we going to talk about? Yes, this is the agenda. As I said, we are going to talk about mostly we are going to talk about the fundamentals, right? So we are just going to give the basics of U.S. law, maybe, and also the basics of the immigration law and what we are encountering every single day with our clients. We can go to the next page, maybe. Yes, the core legal rights of immigrants under U.S. federal and state laws. So, Anil, I will just give some basics, and then please complete me, okay? If I am missing any point.
Yours.
Okay, so we have a constitution in the United States, and this constitution applies to everyone, regardless who you are, right? It doesn't matter even if you are immigrant. It doesn't matter if you are a U.S. citizen. So it applies to you regardless, the constitution. And where does it come? It comes from the due process clause under the Fifth and the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. So basically, this amendments, like under the Bill of Rights, let's say, uh, when the issue is about your liberty or property or your life, right? So there are three valuable assets of our nature as human. It needs to be protected. There must be a procedure for the government uh, to take them from you. So that's why we call it like due process, right? Anil, anything that you want to add here? I think this is important for people to understand that really we are under the protection of the Constitution.
Yeah, some people may have a misconception about they may think that if you're undocumented, if you may have no legal rights in the United States. However, that is incorrect. The Supreme Court of the United States repeatedly held that everybody is protected under the Due Process Clause. So the government must give you a fair procedure whenever they're trying to take your liberty, property, or your life. Now, most recently, this comes up with the government's enforcements of the immigration law, especially with ICE arrests. This
Which is
clause,
liberty, right?
yes, because it affects
Liberty.
your liberty. That's true. Now, the thing I want to say here is you have a right to remain silent. I think all attorneys stated that in their videos, and they shared pamphlets like ACLU had a great pamphlet about this. They just gave people cards so people can show those cards to ICE officers without even speaking. However, just because you have a right to remain silent, sometimes it doesn't mean that you should. Because when you remain silent, they also have a right to detain you until they verify your status. Now, if you're a citizen or if you have a lawful status, and sometimes I believe it would be easier for you to just show your documents and move on with your life.
Yeah,
But
so we saw some videos like from
yeah,
TikTok and Instagram that they're like a US citizen and they have all of the paperwork with them and then they just like don't show it. And of course the NICE, I mean, if they have any reasonable suspicion or maybe, I don't know, probable cause or something, and then they detain the person. I mean, probably no need for it, you if you have the paperwork, but it's kind of sensitive issue, right, Donald?
but you should, I think, remain silent if you do
Yeah.
not have any status, because otherwise they're going to use it against you in the immigration court. They will um, prepare a document for you that's called I-213. And in there, the agent will write, he admitted that he's in the United States without status, and they're going to use it against you because the government has a burden to establish you're an
Element.
alien in the
Yeah.
United States. So, and the other thing to be mindful is that you don't even have to encounter ICE. Even a minor traffic violation, it's once you give your fingerprint, ICE can see that. They can see that in their database, and they may issue what we call an ICE detainer. And
Mm-hmm.
they may come to that station to pick you up when you're released. And even if the state government doesn't charge you with anything, they can still arrest you
Mm-hmm.
just by using their discretion.
Yeah, so the important part is that I mean, hopefully no one gets arrested, but when people get arrested, so they are taken to for booking purposes to the police station, and they do the fingerprinting there, and then that fingerprint is shared with the FBI database, and then probably I mean, I'm not 100% sure how it works, but I am assuming, and also with some information, some level of information, that FBI database is also, of course, shared with the Department of Homeland Security, and they see that you are arrested for some crime, or they can even see the public record, and then once they see that you have no legal status or you are an immigrant, right? They put the detainer So basically, when you are released from the custody of the state, you are under the custody of ICE. So, I mean, with that said, first of all, never get arrested in the first place, and you always have the right to remain silent, but you should consider that you can be detained for some time if you are silent. Uh, Judicial warrants. Okay, so I think this is also important, Alev Hanım and Selim Bey. This is coming up all the time. You know, you see the videos. You know, ICE goes to the houses and you know, tries to talk to the people. So here, it's just the law. We need to know about this. There are different kinds of warrants, right? So I'm not very familiar with how many warrants there are in the law, but as far as I know, that some warrants are being issued by judicial, some are being issued by the administrative judges. So administrative warrants, which is signed by the immigration officials, right? So it's not giving anyone to go into your house. Like you can't just probably go to someone's houses with this kind of warrant. But on the other hand, the judicial warrants that are signed maybe by a magistrate judge, like federal judges, they then that warrant can be used to enter your home. But I mean, as far as I understand, Anil, from our bar exam and you know all of this work that I remember, they need to specify, you know, like what you can do actually in the warrant. So you can't just go inside the house and search for everything everywhere, look for everyone, and then arrest everyone. Probably it doesn't work like this, but what I'm like, there is a limited scope most of the time, as far as I remember from the judicial warrants from the bar exam. But this is important to distinguish what kinds of warrants it could be used in the immigration context. If it's administrative warrants, you don't have to allow anyone to enter your house, but it is judicial, then this is the law. This is what it's happening. Arnold, do you want to add anything from here?
Yes, I think people should know that ICE they can absolutely lie to them and they can tell them that their warrant is valid and they must open the door. It doesn't mean that they're telling the truth though, because enforcement agencies, law enforcement agencies, unfortunately are allowed to lie, that they can
Yes,
get
the
away with it
Supreme
all the
Court
time.
said the Supreme Court said that the law enforcement people can lie to you. I remember again from the bar exam, someone they go to, as far as I remember, they go to like for some robbery or something. They are using the mask, right? And then the police officers are suspecting of someone, and then they are like, "Hey, we have a technology that showed your face behind the mask, so you need to admit it, right?" And then he's like, "Wow, what kind of technology are you guys using? How did you catch me?" Kind of, but of course, there was no technology like this that showed behind what's behind the mask. But yes, so the law enforcement agencies they are allowed to lie to you. Yeah, so
And
that's
if they force their way in, obviously you shouldn't resist. You should just state that you're not consenting. And other than that, there's not much you can do, honestly, because I mean, we don't know in this particular circumstances why they actually came into your house. If they find an evidence based on um, that illegal entry, then you can suppress that evidence even in immigration court, even though it's a lot more difficult than state courts and other federal courts. Even in immigration court, it's possible to suppress the evidence.
it's called a poisonous tree.
Yes.
If you get an if you get an evidence, obtain an evidence through an illegal search, you can probably suppress it. But of course, I mean, this is a very big topic. Lots of information going on with the case law. But talk to your attorney if something happens like this. Okay.
No,
The
there are
visa.
some bans. Yeah,
Yes.
there are some bans.
Anil, maybe we can shortly mention this because this right currently doesn't apply to Turkish citizens, and it doesn't apply to Turkey. So we will just keep it short, but Anil, give any information that you read about it, and then I can just talk very little.
Initially, they banned entry from 19 countries, then they increased it to 39 countries. I mean, the reason behind it, they simply believe that these countries don't have means to issue secure identities, for example, identity cards, passports, and they don't share enough information with the government of United States to determine whether this person is safe to admit into the country. I mean, that's what the current government claims. And if you are from one of these countries, you cannot enter the United States right now, not as an immigrant. Uh, you can't get an immigrant visa, or you can't get an immigrant visa either. However, it is possible to get a waiver. The the proclamation they release, it does mention that there are exceptions. Attorney General and Department of Homeland Security can give exceptions to people. However, it's not clear how to obtain it. Most people think that that language is only there to use it
Mhm.
if they're
Mhm.
sued. They're gonna say that, oh, but we offer an exception they can apply. So this is the 39 countries. Turkey is not on the list. Now there's another ban. It's also started on January 21st, 2026. That is about the public charge clause. And the like when you apply for a green card to be a permanent resident in the United States, you need to show that you're not going to be a public charge. You're not going to get welfare from the US government. Now, they identified some countries and they say that people coming from these countries are more likely to get welfare from the US government. So uh, this proclamation like banned immigrant visas from the 75 countries. But again, Turkey is not on the list, and we don't expect it to be on the list in the future as well. So I think we can just skip this.
Yes, I think so. You gave good information. Turkey is not on the list. We don't have to worry about it right now. Hopefully,
Yes.
we'll know. Yes.
But now for Turkish citizens too, whenever you apply for a visa, whether it's non-immigrant or immigrant, you need to share your social media accounts with them. I mean,
And it needs to be public also.
you always had to share it, but now they are really like rigorously checking every single post you made. And you have to make them public. Like you said, if you don't make them public, they just state that until you make them public, they cannot issue the visa. It's not really clear what they're looking for, though. What do you think? For example, what shouldn't people share? Who should be worried about this? Let's go.
For the green card holders, I mean, so I read a lot about this because I was very curious. We've been hearing about in the news that, oh, green card holders could not come back, the green card holders are getting deported, whatever. But as far as I checked all of these incidents from the public sources, I mean, from just Google and then the news, that I saw like a pattern. I saw that. Uh, they are talking about the green card holders that are actually away from the United States over, let's say, 6 months or 1 year, right? So they just want to check if you are still a resident of the United States or you are just coming as a tourist and using your green card as a tourist visa, kind of, right? So that's the first pattern that I realized. And the second one is that you have a green card, but you committed a crime, and especially crime involving moral turpitude, maybe, right? Like maybe 20 years ago, I read it from the article, like, well, long time ago, and then she has a green card holder and she was convicted of some kind of like a financial fraud. And then she leaves the country, she leaves the US and comes back to the US, and there she's being detained. So this is another scenario. So as far as I see, that the green card holders are more likely to be detained if they have any criminal history, and or they are away from the United States for some time, and in that scenario, you need to prove that you still have connection with the United States. Arnold, that was your question, right? I just talked, but I think that's a good,
You
important.
you mentioned everything that is on the slide. So yeah, I think uh, you also see lots of RFEs, right, when you apply for green
Yes.
cards and
Um,
things.
Yeah, so we have a department, business immigration department. Actually, I mean, like we have been seeing a lot of RFEs. Normally, before we were like, oh my God, RFE, so we must improve our system not to get RFEs. How, we should be amazing, whatever. But actually, I think regardless what you are sending, most of the time, you get an RFE. Gotta be really careful. I mean, RFE doesn't mean the end. RFE, by the way, is like a government requesting more evidence from you, or government wants you to explain more when you apply for an immigration benefit, right? So it's not the end of the world, but they just need clarification of something. And then we see that this kind of RFEs are coming up more within the employment immigration context. Like you want to prove that you are an extraordinary person. You want to prove that you are worth to staying in the United States as a national interest waiver holder. So it is yeah, we are seeing more RFEs in our business immigration department. Yes.
You and removal proceedings.
Ours really are one of our specialties, I would say, and Anil is leading that department. So Anil, I think start with this, and then we will talk. I mean, we can talk about this issue probably, I don't know how many hours, Anil. Maybe one day, 24 hours without stopping,
Yes.
but we have a limited time. Right now, it's very important, guys, because it can apply to anyone who is not the U.S. citizen, kind of. So,
I think the most dangerous shift was the NTA memo.
yeah.
I still remember the day they released that memo, and we were like, this is gonna be tough because if they deny your application for any reason, it can even be like wrong fee. You may just like include the wrong fee, and you may think that you will have a chance to refile. But the second you get a denial or rejection, there is a chance that they are going to uh, issue you an NTA. What is an NTA? NTA is a notice to appear before an immigration judge because the Department of Homeland Security is basically trying to deport you. So we see this mostly, I mean, I see this mostly, maybe you see in other instances too, Utku, but I mostly see this in visa overstays when they apply for a green card, especially because they are now married to a US citizen.
Hmm.
They send their paperwork, it's denied for some reason, and then they immediately get an NTA. And it's not the end of the world. However, it does complicate things a lot. I can tell you that. It
Yes,
is,
I mean you don't want to be in the court world. It is kind of dangerous because there is no escape unless until you have some relief or you terminate the proceedings. So you can't really escape because the time is ticking. You have the court hearing you need to attend, and you need to show that you are not deportable or you have a relief. So actually, like Anil says, it is complicating things a lot. To be honest, no one wants to get an NTA, I assume. The government like basically doesn't want you in this country, so they want to deport you. NTA, exactly what that means.
I mean, many immigration judges, they were fired too. And honestly, good immigration judges were fired. It's like they made sure that the bad ones remain. And what do I mean by bad one? The ones that have very negative view towards any kind of application, any kind of relief. They have very high denial rates in asylum, in marriage, and anything. So those judges remained, and the good ones, they were fired. And for the ones to replace the ones that were fired, they brought military lawyers as temporary judges. Now, I had a hearing before a military lawyer a month ago or so, and I told you about it. I don't know if you remember. The judge, the temporary judge, didn't know the immigration laws. Like, and he openly admitted it in the hearing. And when I made an argument, he was like, "Oh, let me go off the record and ask this to another judge because I don't know what you're talking about." And 1 hour later, he came back saying, "Oh, you're right. Now we can continue." I don't know how, like, it didn't fill me with confidence in his fairness and his abilities to carry out his duties. And yeah, I think it's getting tougher and tougher, and you have to appeal these kind of decisions too, and those appeals take years and years. And during those years, you still don't have a status, and it's just, I mean, nobody wants to be in the removal proceedings. That's all. Nobody should want to be in removal proceedings.
Yeah, two problems here. One, I mean, when the immigration judge doesn't know the immigration very well, uh, I mean, it is affecting, of course, the rights of the immigrants, right? Because as a lawyer, you are expected to know things. As a judge, you are expected to know what you are deciding on. I understand, they are being really trained. Maybe they have a very good training, but regardless, as far as we see, those judges, of course, might not have that much experience as an immigration judge that has been doing this for a long, long time, right? And then you have to explain to the judge, maybe with the simple words, how this doesn't apply to my client, or how we are exempted, or how we, this kind of stuff. You need to explain, and it might affect adversely the right of the immigrant. And the second one, I was going to say that, I mean, just because the immigration judge denies your claim doesn't mean that you don't have any claim, right? Uh, Immigration judges can make mistakes in deciding your case. And I would really strongly advise everyone, right? Even after they are ordered deported by the immigration judge, just to contact a lawyer and just ask about whether they have a case for appeal, because there might be, and most of the time there could, right, Anil? So I think that's also a very good um, exercise of someone's rights, that you have the right to appeal within 30 days of your of the immigration judge's order.
Yes.
I think that's important to think.
Now we can also talk about the enforcement trends.
Enforcement, yes. You just mentioned actually that before they said we are gonna target the criminals, and I mean, probably yes, but also as far as we see, they are basically targeting anyone who is deportable in the Title 8. Like they are really, as far as I can see, they are really enforcing the Title 8, which is whatever the law is written there, I read it, I enforce it. Sometimes they uh, read it differently than another administration would read it. But uh, they claim that we are exercising, we are doing the Title 8 enforcement, and it doesn't really matter if you are criminal or not. So if you are deportable based on the Title 8, we are going to deport you. So I think this is what they claim. And visa overstays, you are deportable. It doesn't matter if you are married to a US citizen. If you overstayed your visa, we are gonna place you into the removal proceedings. Just tell the judge. I mean, I don't care. I don't want to listen to your claim. Just explain it to the judge. These things are happening right now. We are seeing lots of NTAs for visa overstays, like I don't know, right? Illegal work, and then what else? Like any maybe like a little tickets, like
Yeah.
arrests, even like no conviction. So those things are happening right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to add? Maybe this is important.
Yeah, some people may think that as long as they're not convicted of anything, they're safe. However, that's absolutely not the case. As long as the ICE thinks you may have committed a crime or you're a danger to the United States, you can get an NTA, you can find yourself in an immigration detention, and it would be very difficult to get out too, even with pending charges. And that charge doesn't have to be like, I don't know, intentionally injuring somebody or something like that. It can be something small too. It really doesn't matter nowadays. It depends what kind of an immigration judge you will face, whether it's going to be a favorable one or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, for example, the marriage trap, you had a case like this.
Yes, I got the interview with someone, Mr. Selim and Alev Hanım. So that was in San Diego, okay? And my client, is a good, great guy, terrific guy, amazing guy, but he doesn't have any status, right? And then he's married to a US citizen. Good marriage, solid marriage, they go together. We go over the interview. We meet with the officer. Hi, officer, how are you? Everything is good. Officer is very nice, professional. My clients are good. Everything is good. And maybe like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I'm like, oh, okay, good. We are going good. It's just going to get approved. I mean, why would not? There's no reason as far as I see, right? We took the case. And then the officer is like, could you just wait a second, literally? And then we are like, okay, yeah, just maybe something she's gonna check and come back. And then the ICE agent came to the room, and then the ICE agent, he was a nice guy. He was like, yes, hi, attorney, I'm sorry to inform you that your client is under arrest because he overstayed his visa. I mean, okay, then can you just tell me where you are taking my client, at least which detention center or what's gonna happen? Because probably we're gonna ask for a bond or something, right? Um, and then he informed me about where they are taking. It was very unfortunate because before we didn't really care if the person is married to a U.S. citizen, marriage is real, no criminal history, everything is clean, and the only thing he overstays his visa. To be honest, I was like, yeah, that's okay because the law says that, right? You can still adjust, you can still get a green card, but the law doesn't say that you cannot get arrested because you overstayed and you are married to a U.S. citizen. So the law actually, might enable that arrest too. And it happened like this. It was really, I mean, tragedy. I was really sad. Then, I mean, we did the bond hearing with the immigration judge, and then now he's free, pursuing his green card before the immigration judge. Everything is okay right now. Lots of stress, and he had to spend some more money on the attorney's fees, which is true, unfortunately. But yeah, so right now they are just arresting people who overstayed, and the fact that you are married to U.S. citizen doesn't really protect you. I don't see this pattern all over the U.S., but I see this in San Diego. So I haven't seen this in San Francisco. I haven't seen in, I don't know, Arnold, maybe Sacramento, maybe New York. Do you remember something like this in New York or something?
No, no, not in marriage interviews. No,
Yeah, I think maybe that's specific to San Diego, so just gotta be careful there. Anything you wanna add, Arnold?
no. I mean, similar things happen when I mean, not in marriage, but immigrants do get arrested when they attend their immigration hearings as well in immigration court,
Mhm.
asylum interviews, credible fear interviews. I mean, unfortunately, just because you're pursuing a legal pathway doesn't mean that you have a lawful status. And as long as you don't have a lawful status, even if you're pursuing one, you can still be arrested, you can still be deported. And I mean, you can fight against it, and you can win too. It's just going to be costly.
Yeah.
And I think some people just choose to go back rather than to fight. And I think that's maybe the goal of this administration as well.
Yes, and also got to be careful, by the way, departing the US. So you must consult with an attorney before you depart the US because you could not, that there is a possibility that you might not come back, right, Arnold? Because you might be barred, you could accrue the unlawful status in the US. Like that's very important to consult with an attorney before leaving the US.
Yeah, you may get 10-year reentry bar or 3-year reentry bar. I mean, for example, ICE created an app that's called CBP Home. They say that if you book, like if you get an appointment here and say that you're gonna go back to your country, in the future, you may come back legally. However, they do not mention that sometimes, depending on your situation, you may get a 10-year bar. They omit that information, so you must ask an attorney with your own paperwork to actually find out whether you should return or not.
Yes. Collateral arrests. Anil, we will talk about this, but very basic situation. I mean, it's if you are in a situation that one of your friends is getting arrested in the house or something, home visit, whatever, workplace, you can get arrested too if they have reasonable suspicion of something. You know, you can get arrested because there's an operation going on. So they don't have to target you, but if they targeted someone who you end up being with him, for example, in the same environment, there's a possibility that you would be inquired about too. So, Arnold, do you want to add anything here?
No.
Okay.
And mm,
Okay.
we can talk about habeas corpus. You started doing it
That's
recently.
yes, we can talk about this. I mean, as what we talked in the very beginning, we said that government needs to give you due process when your three things are at stake: life, liberty, and property. Right? The U.S. Is protecting those like rights, or I don't know how you call it, like madde. How do you call it, Anand? Like
Fundamental rights, I agree. There are
rights,
fundamental
three things,
rights.
right? So habeas corpus is basically this: when the government, maybe let's talk about liberty. So you lose your liberty, right? But you lost it maybe without a due process, right? And then you can tell the federal judge, and then you can say that, hey, you know, like things happened, but you know that happens with no due process, and I believe that this is against the law. And you ask, you do the writ of habeas corpus, and then the federal judge takes care of your case. So why is it important for the immigration context? And Anil, maybe you can mention about this. Why is it important now? And why are we hearing habeas corpus more from attorneys in the social media, in everywhere, even in the Facebook groups of the attorneys? Why do we hear it?
In the past, almost like majority of people were eligible to get a bond from an immigration judge, and so they didn't have to file a federal lawsuit.
By the
However,
way, bond is this: you are arrested by ICE, and then you go to immigration judge and say, "Immigration judge, you know, I am here in the U.S. I have some connections. I am a good guy, no criminal history. Let me give you some amount of dollars, and then you just release me. And if I don't show up my immigration court, you know, you're gonna get the money. I will just give it to you. But that's why I am securing." I am promising that I will come back because I am posting money. Otherwise, I know that I'm gonna lose it. So that's the bond with the immigration context.
and nowadays, you stated that new administration interprets things differently. This is one of them. The new administration says that people who entered illegally into the United States, they have no right to a bond hearing before an immigration judge. Now, I think almost all federal judges disagree with this interpretation. So whenever they sue, whenever these immigrants sue in federal court, they mostly win. based on what I experienced and what I see, they mostly win their cases, and federal judge either orders them released or orders the immigration judge to give them a bond hearing because they say he is eligible or they are eligible. This has become a thing just because of that, because now the administration claims that people who entered illegally, they're not eligible for bond and they should stay in jail until they are deported. So that's why it has become a thing.
Exactly. So basically, you don't have rights for bonds. You go to the federal judge when you're arrested because you think that your arrest is not legal. Okay, military service. They put my photos, my photo, I live on them here with AI generated army guy. So it's kind of funny. Thank you very much for my marketing team.
Did a good job.
They did a good job. I mean, it kind of looked like me, maybe my twin, something like this. But yeah,
A little bit younger looking, maybe.
yeah, my marketing team is very creative, so I'm proud of them. So Anil prepared this, and I believe that this is really a good information, to be honest, because I attended like many interviews, and including the citizenship interviews, and uh, like we just, some people are just forgetting about their military service, but it's actually the questions are asking about it. Like, have you ever been a member of something or organizations, right? And then the Turkish people most of the time forget about this. We always advise our clients that, okay, have you done with your military service? Did you do it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, then we need to put it because they are asking about it. And to be honest, you don't want to leave any room for any government agency to to go after you just because you might just forget about something. So you gotta be prepared. You need to how do you call it? Like put your ducks in line, something like you need to be prepared. And if they are asking, you need to answer it truthfully. So that's very important. And Arnold, this is a good information for our audience. Please, maybe you go a little bit deeper on this.
I mean, it's important because maybe many people have omitted it in the past and nothing has happened. I understand that. However, this new administration looks at things very differently than the previous administrations. They may believe that you willfully omitted that information to hide something. And just by that belief, just by believing in that, they have grounds to deny your application, whatever application it is. And once they deny it, they just don't deny it so you can refile. They will also make a finding that you committed material misrepresentation before a US agency, and that's going to bar you from reapplying too. Now you need a waiver.
And now you
Whether
need
you're
to
eligible.
spend more. You need to
Yeah.
spend more on attorneys. You need to spend
Yeah.
more on the government filing fee. You need to wait more. So just gotta be careful. Hire an attorney. Really, just it doesn't. It's not worth it. This is what I'm saying, to people. I think it's not worth it for a couple of $1,000s. I mean, of course, they would say Utku is prejudiced because Utku is an attorney right now making money out of it. But I mean, it's just. I mean, unfortunately, this is what it is. So with little things that you might forget, or you just you are confused, whatever, then you can get the label of misrepresentation. So you don't want to do this. It's really making the process harder and harsher for you. Or even if you are doing it, must be truthful, must read the questions, must read the instructions of the forms, and answer it accordingly.
No,
Okay,
I'm not going to say a new rule. This rule already existed, but they just released some extra guidance for officers in naturalization cases. Back in the day, I mean, you always needed to show good moral character to naturalize. But back in the days, showing good moral character was very easy. All you needed to show was you don't have a criminal background. So they just assumed you have good moral character. Nowadays, that's not enough. You need to do things affirmatively. You need to do extra stuff other than just not having criminal record. Now, I just put like 3 examples here. Obviously, you can, like, there's no rule in this. Just you need to show that you'll be a contributing member of the society. Even the fact that if you have a college degree, even they look at that. They look at how much money you make. I don't see how that's good moral character, but they
The more
seem to
money you
think
make,
so.
the more.
Moral you are, but they seem to think that way. And but I think the most important thing is the tax compliance. Really, you must pay your taxes in full. You should get letters of recommendations from people who know you, and you can volunteer at some places just to have it in your file. I think you absolutely should have a special um, like folder in your application just named good moral character and put something
Yeah,
under
yeah,
it.
that's a good
I
idea. Good idea.
I mean, this would be a very weird reason to deny somebody, but they absolutely can. Especially if you have any kind of criminal record, do not apply citizenship without a lawyer's assistance because you need to overcome that criminal background. They would deny you based on good moral character.
And I mean, sometimes if you get the denial, you could just assume that that's fine, I will apply again. And sometimes that's not the case. When they deny your citizenship application, they might also want to get your green card and then placing you into the removal proceedings. So, as Anil said, depending on your situation and if you have any kind of complexities, yes, I think that's a good time to spend some dollars on the attorneys. That's the reality.
This is
Yeah,
the last. This is the
change of
last
address,
trick.
please. Important, Anil. Yes.
This is very funny. Many people think that this shouldn't be a big deal, but it is. In the INA, it's a deportability ground, so you must report your address if you're a non-citizen. Even if you have a green card, if you do not report your address 10 days after moving, you are deportable. Now, I've never seen anybody getting deported because of this, and I don't think I will see it, but it is possible, and you really shouldn't give anybody a reason to come after you in this era. So even if you haven't so far as a green card holder or if you're a non-citizen, you must file it. Even green card holders. If you haven't done it so far, do it now,
Yeah.
today. You can just fill out the
Now,
paperwork and mail it, or you can
now
just,
that you got this information, you cannot say that I didn't know. Sometimes it's better not to know, but now you know it because
no,
of
you know.
the webinar. So you guys gotta do this. If you are not a U.S. citizen, you need to report your address. And willfully not doing this, as far as I remember, gotta check, but it's also might be a crime, a misdemeanor, like not reporting your address, but gotta verify this information. Just letting you know that how important it is actually.
And I think we're done. Let's go.
Yeah.
And
Yes, we can just answer some questions, Alev Hanım, Selim Bey, or do you have any preference?
Yes, we started receiving the questions, and we posted it in the chat. If you would
Yes.
look at the chat, you will see there's one general comment there. Sıdık Hanım mentioned since some of our people possibly could not understand detailed English. They were asking, if this could be posted as a Turkish option. When we post the recording at that time, we can possibly, allow the language changing capability, and whoever is listening, they can set that up in their tools, and you can actually, any video you're watching on YouTube, you can be able to listen in your preference language. So that's a tool YouTube provides, that they should be able to listen in Turkish.
Or Alev Hanım, maybe we can do one more time later on, and we can just do it in Turkish so that the Turkish listeners can listen to this.
It is possible, sure, why not?
Yeah, I
okay.
think it's beneficial.
Well, at
Yes.
this time, we are moving into a couple of things that Anil Bey was going to say specifically, and I had not introduced him on purpose so that we could come to this section. So before we go any further, I really want to introduce Mr. Anil Chetinkaya. He is an associate attorney at Akçok Law Office, where he focuses on removal, defense, and humanitarian immigration matters. Licensed to practice in New York, he represents clients across the United States, and he has earned his Master's of Laws from the University of Minnesota Law School and his Bachelor of Laws from Fatih Sultan Mehmet Vakıf University. During his graduate studies, he completed a judicial observation program in the Minnesota State Court's felony criminal block, gaining insight into U.S. court procedures directly from the judges' chambers. He also served as a volunteer law clerk with the Volunteers Lawyers Network, where he drafted applications for asylum seekers. And before joining Akçok Law Office, he gained broad experience in asylum, family, and employment-based cases at various law firms. So with that, Mr. Chetinkaya, do you have anything else to add besides what the slides were shown?
Any more successes? I mean, there are so many successes anyway. How many? We would not have time to that.
Okay, it depends. It is your program. So I would then, if you could please then take a look at the questions and see which ones would fit at the time frame of our program. And if you could help the questionnaires or the people who ask the questions.
And one particular question that comes multiple times by our community, as you know, the recent announcement about the dual citizenship, and I think Mazlum Bey also asked this question. So this is also in many our community people's minds. Could you be able to say something about that particular question, the rules that possibly changing with this dual citizenship?
I am aware that they might be working on something to prevent some people from applying from getting the second citizenship, but I have not read the proposed legislation. Anil, have you read that proposed legislation?
No, I haven't.
It's a good idea to read it right now if there are many questions, because I never thought that the US would actually, do something like this, to be honest, because it's been, I mean, years and years, US allows dual citizenship, and I believe this is what makes the US great, because then they have a very good selection of people as citizens. But as I said, I haven't read the proposed legislation, but actually after that question, I would like to know more about it, and we can post in our social media later. So I'm just
Thank you. And the rest of the questions are posted on the chat.
We can go over very quick with Anil. I can answer one, Anil can answer that, and then
Sure.
we can get it done so that all of our attendees.
Thank you.
Yeah. In some states, local law enforcement cooperate with ICE. Could you comment specifically for California? So, as far as I know, the California is a sanctuary state within a lot of sanctuary cities, which means that I actually had a video about this. I read even the history of the sanctuary cities. So it is very interesting, and I believe that starts from San Francisco, actually, from a church. So what that means that the local law enforcement doesn't share any data with the ICE. They don't really honor the detainee request of ICE. They just release it, and if the ICE can come and pick him up, then it's another story. But as far as I know, that cities in California, I am not sure about like the whole state, and it's really overlaps the whole city, but as far as I know, maybe all, they are not really informing ICE, but ICE still know things through the public records, whether someone is arrested or not, whether there's fingerprinting. So Sometimes it doesn't really matter, even if you don't honor the detainee of the city or states when the person is arrested, but uh, because they know you are arrested. But yeah, I mean,
The
uh,
next question, let me read that.
do this.
You said even a minor traffic violation may lead to ICE detention. Can they also revoke your visa or refuse extensions, adjustment of status, etc., for things like that? What about for participating in a lawful and peaceful protest? Now, they can absolutely revoke your visa, they can refuse extension, and they can deny your adjustment of status because, I mean, specifically adjustment of status is a discretionary I'm not going to say relief, but it's a discretionary benefit that is given to you by the United States, and the officer can use their discretion to deny it. However, just participating in a lawful and peaceful protest, I mean, that is protected under the First Amendment. Um, you have freedom of speech. However, they can still make your life very difficult. You may have to sue
Yeah.
before getting anything. So I'm gonna say yes, they can absolutely do it. Whether that would be lawful, that would depend on the circumstances. And if it's not lawful, you have to fight.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, just because government does something doesn't mean that they are doing it right. So there's, this is the country of law, and then we believe in America. The courts and they are functioning still. Um, but yeah, you gotta fight sometimes to make the things right. And Sedan has another question. I think I would like to learn about my rights in case ICE is violating the Constitution and arrest me and deport me, even though I'm a U.S. citizen. I never violated any law, and I see U.S. citizens being arrested, even though they show their papers. They're being targeted only because of their accents. Then what should we do? You can be targeted because of your accents, as far as I read the last Supreme Court decision. This is giving the ICE officers a reasonable suspicion that you are not from this country. But once you show your paperwork and you are just a lawful citizen and you are not interfering with the law enforcement in some ways, and just show your paperwork and then you are arrested and being deported, I don't think that would actually happen. Uh, but I mean, I don't know. They should not really deport you once they know that you are a US citizen, because it's probably a very heavy violation of someone's civil rights. I mean, I don't know, like all of these things, I give it a 401, 404 error in my mind. I mean, if you are showing that you are a US citizen, probably yes. I mean, they should not deport you. And
They
if
can
you,
file a lawsuit, right?
yeah, I mean, if you are deported,
That's a
I mean,
solution.
it's the civil rights. You can always go to the federal judge and ask for a relief. But uh, yeah, hopefully it never happens to anyone. Something like this.
My
I
other
have a
question, of
quick
course,
question. I'm
tell me.
sorry. It is one of the questions, and I think it interests a majority of us. In a travel magazine, I had read that some people mistakenly their passports were canceled, so they got stuck abroad. Or if intentionally the passport is canceled after the person leaves the country, what documents should we carry with us to be able to prove? Like, obviously, we have the citizenship paper, but what else would you advise to have with us in case something like this happens?
You mean as U.S. citizens or as
Yeah,
a
yeah. US
U.S.
citizen leaving, going to Thailand, and then he finds out on the way back that his passport was canceled. And mistake,
Oh.
whatever end result is, they're stuck over there. So what else they should carry with them, or we should carry with us? Uh,
Uh, I mean, as far as I know, Anil, as a U.S. citizen, you must enter the U.S. with your U.S. passport. But
Right.
if you have the U.S., I mean, if you are a U.S. citizen, I don't think the government can stop you from trying to enter the US. I mean, that doesn't really make sense to me, Anil. Do you think? Because you are a US
They can't.
citizen, and it doesn't really matter if your passport is being revoked or something, you should still be able to fly to the US, I think.
CBP can't deny entrance to US citizens. However, I think the issue in this particular instance would be proving that you're a US citizen. However, canceled or not, I think carrying a passport, I mean, as they can tell that it's not fake. So I think that should be enough to prove it.
Yeah, I mean, even if your passport is revoked, the the uh, the principle of law that I've been learning since many years tells me that you should still be able to get into the country because you are a US citizen. Just because your passport is being revoked, I don't think your citizenship is being revoked. And there's a huge process with that situation, which we call denaturalization. And I've never done it, I've never seen it, but it requires a very high threshold by the government to prove that you know did something, and then that's why we are. But it's a long process. It's a federal
Okay.
judge.
Okay.
Because that person would have their canceled or not legal passport they left the country with. They would have that in hand, and the border
Yeah,
patrol should see that, or the customs agent.
that's a
Right?
real passport. It's just
Yes.
about the status of passport being revoked or being not revoked. But
Right.
it's still a passport that was issued by the Department of State.
Okay.
Another question, Utku. What a person can legally do if, for example, a US citizen or a US Army veteran, they are deported from the US by ICE or other federal authorities. A notable example of such actions were a South Korean US Army veteran with a green card and a 5-year-old person that I can't read the name of right now, deported to Honduras despite being a
I
US citizen.
I remember that from the television. I think he was in Congress and invited to a hearing, and then that
Yeah.
person is being pointed out, saying, "Hey, this person is a veteran. How did you guys try to deport it or deport it?" I don't know. I'm not really sure about the facts, but I mean, it's such a tragedy. But I don't know what the facts are. But if you are deportable according to the US law, the Title 8, then you are deportable, and they can place you on the removal proceedings, and the immigration judge actually decides on your case, and then you have the appeal right, and then you can take it to the federal court, right? So if he got deported, I assume there must be a reason for him to get deported. And probably, I mean, it's unfortunate. He served our country, right? He served as a veteran, whatever. It's unfortunate situation, but if you are a legal permanent resident and if you are deportable, the fact that you are the veteran, I mean, probably judge would give a lot of latitude towards that person. But I mean, the law is the law. Anna, what do you think, right?
Yeah, the law is the law, and I mean it's about the enforcement priorities. I think in with previous administrations they wouldn't come after this person, but nowadays they're just saying that we're just enforcing the law, and the law says you're deportable, so you're deported. It doesn't matter who you are and what you did. And about the child, though, the 5-year-old child that is deported despite being a U.S. citizen, I think in that particular case the parents of the child, they weren't citizens. And to preserve the family unity, I mean, of course, they cannot deport the child if the child wanted to stay. But what happens in these kind of cases, for obvious reasons, the parents want to keep their child with them because a 5-year-old child cannot live in the US alone. They can absolutely come back in the future to the United States and nobody can stop them. It's just their parents. They can't come back, at least for now. Once the child turns 21 years old, they may sponsor their parents.
Mhm.
I'm saying may because there may be some bars, we don't know,
Mhm.
but usually it can happen.
Yeah, I mean, we can keep answering some other questions, but it's 10 o'clock, it's passing. So, what do you prefer,
Yes.
our dear moderators?
Correct. I think
And we will post these questions. Utku Bey and Anil will review these questions and come up with some answers when we post our recorded webinar to our YouTube channel. And we will make sure we include the answers they provided to us with the video so that all the questions are answered. Thank you so much for your interests and all the questions you ask to us, and we will try to get some answers for you.
Thank you
Yes.
so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we are shutting it down, right, Aliman?
one
I
second.
will, yeah, we have
We
two
have to
more.
pay. I will pass the screen to my colleague and co-chair, and she's going to talk about the upcoming programs. So I'll leave the screen for Yücel Burdurlu.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you so much for Akçok Law Offices for this engaging and very informative seminar. But there is more to come from ATAA. On February 8th, we have Next Gen 2 webinar on social innovations to learn on how social innovators turn ideas into impact by mobilizing communities, resources, and change. On February 22nd is the Mother Language Day celebration. This year's program will target Turkish Americans living in America, themed on the power of mother language and multilingualism. May 1st and 2nd, we will have annual ATAA conference in Dallas, Texas. The theme will be Stronger Together Building Tomorrow. Everyone is encouraged to come. Don't miss this opportunity during our conference to connect, learn, and grow together. Have a nice rest of your week.
I witnessed one of the conferences. It was amazing. I will be there hopefully. So I recommend anyone to see this to come to the conference. Thank you very much. Really.
We thank you. It was a wonderful, very informative seminar. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
madam.
very much. We really appreciate your participation.
No
So,
problem.
as we come to the end of today's webinar, I want to sincerely thank everyone who took the time to join us for this important conversation. Immigration law is complex, often intimidating, and deeply personal. And understanding our rights is one of the most powerful tools available. We begin by grounding ourselves in the core legal rights of immigrants under U.S. federal and state laws. Regardless of immigration status, individuals have fundamental protections, including due process and safeguard against unlawful treatment. These rights exist to ensure fairness, dignity, and accountability within the system. We also explored today the common challenges faced during visa, residency, and removal processes, from navigating complicated paperwork and long proceeding times to reporting and unexpected requests or enforcement actions. These challenges are real and often stressful, which is why preparation and putting together accurate information is very critical. A key part of today's discussion focused on due process protections during interviews, investigations, and court proceedings. Understanding your rights to fair procedures, to present evidence and seek legal guidance can make a significant difference at every stage of the process. We heard current enforcement trends and policy changes affecting immigrant communities. Immigration enforcement priorities and policies continue to evolve, and staying informed is essential for making sound decisions for yourself and your family. Finally, we also heard practical guidance for navigating the immigration system, including the importance of documentation, seeking reputable legal counsel, and avoiding misinformation. While the system can feel overwhelming, informed support and preparation can help individuals move forward with greater confidence. Before we conclude, I would like to extend our sincere gratitude to our expert speakers whose insights made today's webinar possible. Utku Galip Akçok, founding attorney of Akçok Law Office, and Anılcan Çetinkaya, attorney at Akçok Law Office in New York. Thank you both for sharing your expertise and practical perspectives so generously. We really appreciate you being here with us.
You guys are amazing. Thank you. Very privileged to be here. Thank you very much, really.
I would also like to thank our project team. ATA UN co-chairs Yücel Burdurlu and Dr. Selim Erhan for organizing this program and for their dedication to making this discussion accessible and impactful. As you leave today, I hope you carry one key message with you. Knowledge empowers us. Understanding our rights and the systems helps us to make informed decisions and stand up for our rights. Thank you again for your participation and engagement. We hope today's webinar provided clarity, confidence, and useful tools as you navigate the immigration journey ahead. At this time, of course, I like to recognize Hakan Dakın, our technical support in the background, and also all our documentation for this webinar announcements. He is our right hand to make these possible. Thank you, Hakan, for your support and continued help. Thank you, and hope to see everyone at our next programs. Have a wonderful afternoon.